poverty, liberty until the child still require parental support. It recognizes the majority of these children often suffer from emotional distress, social stigma, and economic hardships, cognizant of the fact that all children should be accorded a means of maintaining their relationship with their parents. Children have restricted economic resources available for their support, which in turn negatively impacts their lives. Also, the Member of Parliament for Kiambu Town, Honourable Mashawa Ithaka, has a motion on the national policy on deworming of school-going children. And the House urges that the national government, through the Ministry of Health, develops a national policy on deworming school-going children as a crucial part of mainstreaming of healthcare access in the country. Aware that Article 43(1)(a) of the Constitution provides that every person has a right to the highest attainable standard of health, including a right to healthcare services. Further aware that the relationship between health and education plays a significant role in school attendance rates. It concerns that the negative effects of poor sanitation, such as parasite infestations, particularly among the school-going children, lead to anemia, stunted growth, and other salient problems, which in turn lead to low school attendance and impact educational standards. And according to research, school-based deworming is one of the most cost-effective interventions that provides a huge range of holistic and social benefits, such as increased school attendance and healthier kids who do better in school, while utilizing already existing school structures in administering deworming treatments to school pupils, and recalling that previous programs conducted by Ministry of Health in partnership with NGOs, that is non-governmental organization, called the Evidence Actions, have only been piloted in a few selected counties, and that the deworming efforts have been uncoordinated and dependent on external support with no clear policy or budgetary framework. Also, the Member of Parliament for Langata, Honourable Felix Odiwar, has a motion on public health concerns at Langata Cemetery, and the House, through the national government and the Ministry of Health, is urged to urgently conduct an assessment of the public health risks posed by the continued use of the Langata Cemetery, and to institute mitigatory measures and collaborate with other stakeholders, including the Nairobi City County Government, to identify another suitable alternative land for use of cemetery. Aware that Article 42 of the Constitution provides for the right of every person to a clean and healthy environment, and Article 69 of the Constitution obligates the state to ensure sustainable utilization of environment and natural resources, including that of land. The fourth schedule to the Constitution assigns to the national government the function of land planning, including the general principles of land planning and the coordination of the planning by the counties, as well as the matters of health policy, further recognizing that there is an ongoing public outcry regarding the neglect of the Langata Public Cemetery, which was declared full close to 20 years ago. And it's concerned that this matter has left unaddressed and poses a significant health risks to the public. It's deeply concerned that the situation has led to overcrowding and double allocation of burial sites, with bodies being buried in shallow graves, leading to frequent uncovering by wild animals from the neighboring national park. Also, it has called to untold anguish, pain, and suffering to the bereaved families and psychological torment to the neighboring community of Langata constituency. We have a motion brought by Honourable Mark Mwenje, the Member of Parliament of Embakasi East in Nairobi County, on the development and implementation of a program for voluntary regularization of land occupied by squatters for a prescribed period. that the lack of access of ownership of productive assets, in particularly to land, is one of the most serious sources of economic and social insecurity for Kenyans. Many communities, particularly in rural income dwellers, the only way of accessing land is to put up with the dwellings that has to take residents' land that is unfit for human habitation. The Bill of Rights in Chapter 4 of the Constitution guarantees that every citizen the right to adequate housing and reasonable standards of sanitation. There are very many squatters who have settled on land that belong to either absentee landlords, unadjudicated land, public land, or community land for long periods of times, with some disputed, while others to date remain undisputed. The issue of land settlement in many urban areas, particularly in the informal settlement, has remained unresolved, with numerous persons remaining squatters. Another motion on expansion of drug and substance abuse and rehabilitation centers, brought by John Makali, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Kandui. And the House urges the government to institute intensive programs for dissemination of information on alcohol and substance abuse, in line with the Alcohol Drinks Control Act 2010, and to increase the number of rehabilitation centers across the 47 counties in our country. According to the National Protocol for the Treatment of Substance Use Disorders in Kenya by the Ministry of Health, drug abuse has been increasing in Kenya, especially among the youth, with statistics indicating that more than half of drug users are aged between 10 to 19 years. These are school-going children. Further, aware that research released by NACADA, that is the National Authority for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse, in December 2022, placed Western.
Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
The first question, member for Malava, Honorable Malulu Njedi.
Sorry, Madam Speaker. I have the question number 334 of 2013, a question to the Judicial Service Commission. Could the Commission explain why all Kenyan courts, excluding the Supreme Court, are yet to have microphones installed in the courtrooms, which would enhance the efficiency of the court system in the lower courts? Two, provide details on what caused the discontinuation of the program for installing microphones in courtrooms after its initial commencement. Three, state whether the Judicial Service Commission has developed a plan to install these essential components in courts and provide the estimated costs of implementing the system in all courts across Kenya. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. To be replied before the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs. The next question by Honorable Tandaza Kasim had requested some indulgence from the Speaker. We'll get back to it later. Oh, he's made it. Oh, Honorable Tandaza, you can ask your question. I had gotten your communication of the indulgence, so please ask the question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to ask question number 365 of 2023 to the National Lands Commission. Could the Commission, 1, provide a list of persons affected by the construction of the Dongokundu Bypass Project Phase 3 and the corresponding compensation awarded to each one of them? 2, explain why the persons affected by the project in Matuga constituency, whose land was compulsorily acquired for the construction of the Dongokundu Bypass Project Phase 3, have not been paid despite being issued with award letters by the Commission in 2019. 3, consider factoring the inflationary changes to the compensation awarded since 2019 to date, and state the time frame within which the persons affected by the project will be compensated, considering that the bypass project phase 3 has since been completed. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
To be replied before the Departmental Committee on Lands, Member for Turkana North, Honorable Paul Nabuin. Not in the House. We'll defer this question. Next order. What is out of order, Honorable Kangogo?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the tablets or the gadgets we are using, which is in front of us, Madam Speaker, if you, and many members who are here, if you check, they have passwords, Madam Speaker. Some, I don't know, some people or the ICT department, they have put some passwords that we cannot use sometimes. These gadgets should be free to any member. When I go sit the other side, I should be able to access and use it. When I sit every seat here, I should be able to use. If you check and if you ask many of the members here, they have passwords. We cannot use them. And yet the order paper, we are supposed to access the order paper here.
Thank Honorable Kangogo. I think we will first of all, you'll be assisted first of all to open yours, but I thought it's accessible. When I sit there, I'm able to open mine. I don't know whether members have the same problems. Honorable Makali Mulu.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to agree with my colleague, Honorable Kagogo. If you realize, Madam Speaker, I used to sit this seat here. I've not been able to access this machine. I moved to this place now, I'm not unable actually to access. And the problem is, you're able to log in on this machine, but this one you can't log in. If you remember the last parliament, you would log, using the same details, you log in here, but it's impossible now. So I think the IT department needs to check what is happening. Thank you.
I think we'll direct the ICT team to look at it, because from experience of last session, like Honorable Makali Mulu says, you'd access with your credentials on any seat you sit on. You use a password and you unlock. So maybe we'll take it up later and report to the House on the progress. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Establishment of a National Cancer Prevention and Control Fund. Question to be put.
We'll defer the putting of question of this motion under Standing Order 53.
Order number 9, motion. Development and implementation of a child care program for children whose parents are in lawful custody.
Same fate follows on this motion, deferred to the next day.
Order number 10, motion. National policy on deworming of school-going children. Mover to reply.
Is Honorable Mashua in the House? Member for Honorable Mashua, member for Kiambu.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Allow me to first thank all the members who have so far supported this important motion. Honorable Speaker, these members have demonstrated their love and care for our children. If we care about the future of this country, we have indeed taken care of our children by investing in their future and by removing anything that's a barrier to their education and to their health. Honorable Madam Speaker, when I decided to table this motion in this House, I did so knowing that intestinal parasitic infections is regarded as a serious public health problem, and amongst the most common infections affecting human beings in the world. Therefore, Honorable Madam Speaker, we cannot develop as a country without a well-educated human resource. Quality education is goal number 4 of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that were developed by the United Nations in 2015 to act as a blueprint with which the world will become a better place. It is therefore important to put in place measures that will keep our children in school. Honorable Madam Speaker, deworming is one of those measures. Honorable Speaker, a few weeks ago, when I was explaining this important mission to the people of Kiambu, one vernacular radio station took me out of context and decided to spread the propaganda that this was not a priority. They discussed me in their radio for 2 good hours. I want to call out to that vernacular station and tell them that we must speak about the problems that are affecting our communities without shame. Worms are a problem to our children and especially to their health and on their education. We must therefore speak about it openly and without shame. Honorable Madam Speaker, allow me to remind journalists of one of the rules of journalism, which was written in 1914 by Walter Williams, who was the founder of the Missouri School of Journalism. And I quote, "I believe that the public journal is a public trust, that all connected with it are to the full measure of their responsibility trustees for the public. That acceptance of a lesser service than the public service is a betrayal of this trust." End of quote. Honorable Madam Speaker, if this House passes this motion, it will be in line with the spirit and letter of Article 43(1)(a) of our Constitution, which guarantees the right to the highest attainable standard of health, which is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and emotional well-being, and not merely being without disease. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Madam Speaker, thanks to all the members of this House for their contributions to this motion, and I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Mashua. We'll defer the putting of the question on this motion. Next order.
Order number 11, motion, public health concerns at Langata Cemetery.
Member for Langata, Honorable Felix Oduor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that aware that Article 42 of the Constitution provides for the right of every person to a clean and a healthy environment. Further, aware that Article 69 of the Constitution obligates the state to ensure sustainable utilization of the environment and natural resources, including land, recognizing that the 4th schedule of the Constitution assigns the national government the function of land planning, including general principle of land planning and the coordination of planning by counties, as well as matters of health policy. Further, recognizing that there is ongoing public outcry regarding the neglect of Langata Public Cemetery, which was declared full close to 2 decades ago. Concerned that this matter has been left unaddressed and poses significant health risks to the public. Deeply concerned that this situation has led to overcrowding and double allocation of burial sites, with bodies being buried in shallow graves, leading to frequent uncovering by wild animals from the nearby national park. Further concern that this has caused untold anguish, pain, and suffering to the bereaved families and psychological torment to the neighboring community. Now, therefore, this House urges the national government through the Ministry of Health to urgently conduct an assessment of the public health risks posed by the continuous use of Langata Cemetery and institute measures and collaborate with other stakeholders, including the Nairobi City County government, to identify suitable alternative land for use of a cemetery. I beg to move, and I ask Dr. Charles Onchare, MP Bunchari, to kindly second.
Honorable Nchoke.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I rise to second this motion. Madam Speaker, we all need to be alive to the requirement or the need to take care of our dead. All over the country, you don't find any very well-maintained cemeteries, and that's something that needs to be looked into by government, very urgent, or two levels of government, so that our dead can have decent, respectful places where they rest in peace, so that they don't turn in their graves.
Honorable Nchoke, for the record, just put up the microphone. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So that our dead can rest in peace and bless us, instead of turning in their graves and cursing us. My experience with the Langata Cemetery, I had the privilege of working with the city council then, as then it was, and I'm very familiar with the Langata Cemetery. It's an old facility which was created before independence, and I think the projection was to take a small number of people, but now over the years, the number of people who have died who require that service are very many. Therefore, there's need to reassess its suitability so that it can be enhanced, or an alternative site is located or identified for purposes of taking care of our dead people. I mean, Madam Speaker, the way the world is moving is that we have decent cemeteries where the families of the deceased can go and visit and lay flowers at every anniversary and just have peace and have a communication with the loved ones who have since passed on. Madam Speaker, time is right. We can't argue this. We can't advance the argument any more than it's already been presented by the mover. I support the motion that we need an alternative site where we can lay our dead instead of Langata, which is not available at the moment. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Second the motion, Honorable Nchoke.
I second the motion.
I therefore propose that, aware that Article 42 of the Constitution provides for the rights of every person to a clean and healthy environment, further aware that Article 69 of the Constitution obligates the state to ensure sustainable utilization of the environment and natural resources, including land, recognizing that the fourth schedule of the Constitution assigns to the national government the function of land planning, including the general principles of land planning and the coordination of the planning by counties, as well as matters of health policy, further recognizing that there is ongoing public outcry regarding the neglect of Langata Public Cemetery, which was declared full close to 2 decades ago, concerned that this matter has been left unaddressed and poses a significant health risks to the public, deeply concerned that this situation has led to overcrowding and double allocation of burial sites, with bodies being buried in shallow graves, leading to frequent uncovering by wild animals from the nearby national park, further concerned that this has caused untold anguish, pain, and suffering to the bereaved families and psychological torment to the neighboring community. Now, therefore, this House urges the national government, through the Ministry of Health, to urgently conduct an assessment of the public health risk posed by the continued use of Langata Cemetery and to institute mitigatory measures and collaborate with other stakeholders, including the Nairobi City County government, to identify suitable alternative land for use as a cemetery. Member for Rangwe.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I rise to give and add my voice on this matter. Honorable Speaker, Langata Cemetery has been in use like for as long as I can remember. And I want to thank the honorable member